The sun beat down on the dusty plains of Opis, casting a golden glow over the armies of Cyrus the Great and the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, horsehair, and oil as the two forces clashed in a frenzy of steel and screams. The sound of drums and war cries echoed across the battlefield, punctuated by the thunder of hooves and the scent of smoke from the burning tents. Cyrus, resplendent in his bronze armor, rode at the head of his troops, his voice ringing out above the din as he urged them forward. The fate of empires hanging in the balance. The earth shook beneath the feet of the warriors as they charged, the ground dry and cracked from the summer's drought, and the only shade came from the banners and standards that flapped in the breeze. The clash of steel on steel, the cries of the wounded, and the thunder of the drums all blended together in a cacophony of sound that seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth. And yet, amidst all this chaos, Cyrus remained calm, his eyes fixed on the enemy lines as he led the charge, his horse's mane flowing in the wind. But to understand how we got here, we must step back to the city of Anshan, where a young Cyrus, son of Cambyses I and Mandana, first began to forge the empire that would one day stretch from the Indus River to the Mediterranean Sea. The whispers of his name carried on the wind, a promise of greatness to come. The sound of clashing steel began to fade, replaced by the murmurs of the crowd, and the scent of smoke gave way to the smell of sweat and exhaustion as the battle slowly came to an end. And in the silence that followed, the only sound was the heavy breathing of the warriors and the soft rustle of the wind through the dry grass. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the battlefield, and the stars started to twinkle in the night sky, like diamonds scattered across the fabric of the universe. The world was quiet, except for the sound of Cyrus's voice, whispering in the darkness, his words carried away by the wind, leaving behind only the faintest hint of a promise of greatness, of empire, and of legacy. In the warm, golden light of a Persian sunset, the city of Anshan lay nestled in the heart of the Achaemenid Empire, its narrow streets and bustling marketplaces filled with the smells of fresh bread, roasting meats, and the sound of merchants haggling over the price of spices and fine silks. The air was thick with the scent of frankincense and myrrh, carried on the gentle breeze that rustled the leaves of the date palms that lined the city's central square. It was here, in this vibrant, thriving metropolis, that a young Cyrus, son of Cambyses I and Mandana, was growing up, surrounded by the sights, sounds, and smells of an ancient culture that was both familiar and comforting. As a child, Cyrus was fascinated by the stories of his ancestors, who had ruled over the Achaemenid Empire with wisdom and justice, their names etched into the annals of history like the intricate carvings that adorned the walls of the palace. He would spend hours listening to the tales of his grandfather, Astyages, who had fought bravely against the invading armies of the Medes, and of his father, Cambyses, who had expanded the empire's borders through a series of clever alliances and strategic military campaigns. The sound of his grandfather's voice, low and gravelly, like the rustling of dry leaves, would transport Cyrus to a world of wonder and adventure, where heroes and villains clashed in epic battles, and the fate of empires hung in the balance. As he grew older, Cyrus became increasingly aware of the tensions that simmered just beneath the surface of the empire, like the gentle hum of a harp string plucked by an unseen hand. The Medes, who had once been the dominant power in the region, were growing restless. Their king, Astyages, chafing against the bit of Achaemenid rule, his eyes narrowing like a hawk's as he watched the empire's expansion with a mixture of fascination and fear. The Babylonians, too, were a force to be reckoned with, their powerful army and sophisticated system of governance making them a formidable opponent. Their cities shining like beacons in the desert, filled with the sounds of hammering on metal, the smell of fresh clay, and the taste of sweet, golden honey. Despite these tensions, the Achaemenid Empire was a place of great beauty and culture, where the arts and sciences flourished, and the people lived in relative peace and prosperity. The city of Anshan was a center of learning, where scholars and poets gathered to discuss the latest ideas and discoveries, their voices rising and falling like the gentle lapping of waves on a summer shore. The palace, with its intricately carved walls and glittering mosaics, was a testament to the empire's wealth and power. Its halls filled with the soft rustle of silk, the glint of gold, and the sweet scent of perfumed oils. It was here, in this vibrant, thriving world, that Cyrus grew into a young man, his mind filled with wonder and curiosity, his heart burning with a desire to make his mark on the world. He was a tall, handsome young man, with a strong jaw and piercing brown eyes, his hair black as the night sky, and his smile as bright as the morning sun. He was intelligent and charismatic, with a quick wit and a silver tongue, able to charm even the most skeptical of opponents. His voice like music, smooth and melodious, with a hint of warmth and intimacy. As he approached adulthood, Cyrus became increasingly aware of his own destiny, like a whispered promise in the darkness. He knew that he was destined for greatness, that he would one day rule over the Achaemenid Empire and shape its fate, his footprints echoing through the corridors of time, like the beat of a drum in the stillness of the night. He was determined to make his mark on the world, to leave a lasting legacy that would be remembered for generations to come, his name etched into the annals of history, like the intricate carvings that adorned the walls of the palace. The world was a complex and fascinating place, full of wonder and danger, like a rich tapestry, woven from threads of gold and silver, with intricate patterns and hidden meanings. Cyrus was eager to explore it, to experience all that it had to offer, to taste the sweetness of victory and the bitterness of defeat, his heart pounding like a drum, his senses alive with the sights, sounds, and smells of a world in motion. He was a young man on the threshold of greatness, poised to take his place on the stage of history, like an actor waiting for his cue, his eyes fixed on the horizon, his spirit soaring like an eagle on the wind. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a warm, golden light, Cyrus would often walk through the streets, taking in the sights and sounds of the bustling metropolis, the smell of cooking meat, the taste of fresh bread, and the sound of laughter and music, like a rich broth simmering on the stove, filling the air with its savory aroma. He would pass by the marketplace, where merchants and traders hawked their wares, their voices rising and falling like the waves of the sea, their goods spread out like a treasure trove, filled with colors, textures, and smells, a feast for the senses. The city was alive, pulsing with energy, like a living, breathing creature, its heartbeat echoing through the streets, its rhythm weaving in and out of the sounds of everyday life, like the threads of a tapestry, intricate and complex. Cyrus felt a sense of pride and belonging, knowing that he was a part of this vibrant, thriving community, like a thread in the fabric of the city, connected to all the other threads, forming an intricate pattern, rich and beautiful. As he walked, the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, like diamonds scattered across the velvet expanse, their light casting a silver glow over the city, like a benediction, a blessing from the gods. The air grew cooler, filled with the scent of jasmine and orange blossoms, their sweet fragrance wafting through the streets like a gentle breeze, carrying the whispers of the past and the promises of the future. In this peaceful, serene atmosphere, Cyrus felt his heart fill with a sense of wonder, and his mind expand with the possibilities, like a lotus flower blooming in the sun, its petals unfolding, revealing the beauty and complexity of the world. He knew that he was on the threshold of a great adventure, one that would take him to the farthest reaches of the empire and beyond, like a ship sailing into the unknown, its sails billowing in the wind, its crew brave and determined. The world was full of mystery and wonder, like a rich, intricate tapestry, woven from threads of gold and silver, with hidden patterns and secret meanings. Cyrus was eager to explore it, to uncover its secrets, and to make his mark on its fabric, like a thread woven into the tapestry, forming a new pattern, rich and beautiful. He was a young man on the threshold of greatness, poised to take his place on the stage of history, like an actor waiting for his cue, his eyes fixed on the horizon, his spirit soaring like an eagle on the wind. As the night wore on, the stars shone brighter, like diamonds in the sky, their light casting a silver glow over the city, like a benediction, a blessing from the gods. The air grew cooler, filled with the scent of jasmine and orange blossoms, their sweet fragrance wafting through the streets, like a gentle breeze, carrying the whispers of the past and the promises of the future. Cyrus felt his heart fill with a sense of peace, and his mind expand with the possibilities, like a lotus flower blooming in the sun, its petals unfolding, revealing the beauty and complexity of the world. In this peaceful, serene atmosphere, Cyrus knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be, like a ship anchored in a safe harbor, its sails furled, its crew at rest. He was a young man, on the threshold of greatness, poised to take his place on the stage of history, like an actor waiting for his cue, his eyes fixed on the horizon, his spirit soaring like an eagle on the wind. The world was full of wonder and mystery, like a rich, intricate tapestry, woven from threads of gold and silver, with hidden patterns and secret meanings. Cyrus was eager to explore it, to uncover its secrets, and to make his mark on its fabric, like a thread woven into the tapestry, forming a new pattern, rich and beautiful. As the night wore on, the city grew quieter, like a sleeping creature, its heartbeat slowing, its rhythm weaving in and out of the sounds of the night, like the threads of a tapestry, intricate and complex. Cyrus felt his eyelids growing heavy, like a flower closing its petals, its scent fading into the night, like a whispered promise. He knew that he would soon be called upon to take his place on the stage of history, like an actor waiting for his cue, his eyes fixed on the horizon, his spirit soaring like an eagle on the wind. The world was full of wonder and mystery, like a rich, intricate tapestry, woven from threads of gold and silver with hidden patterns and secret meanings. Cyrus was eager to explore it, to uncover its secrets, and to make his mark on its fabric, like a thread woven into the tapestry, forming a new pattern, rich and beautiful. As he drifted off to sleep, he knew that he would soon be embarking on a great adventure, one that would take him to the farthest reaches of the empire and beyond. Like a ship sailing into the unknown, its sails billowing in the wind, its crew brave and determined. The stars shone brightly in the sky, like diamonds in the velvet expanse, their light casting a silver glow over the city, like a benediction, a blessing from the gods. And in the silence, Cyrus's heart beat softly, like a drum in the stillness of the night, its rhythm weaving in and out of the sounds of the world, like the threads of a tapestry, intricate and complex. As the sun rose over the vast expanse of the Achaemenid Empire, the sound of hammering on metal echoed through the streets of Anshan, the capital city. The smell of hot iron and freshly baked bread wafted through the air, enticing the senses and signaling a new day of opportunity. Cyrus, now a young man, stood at the threshold of his father's throne room, his eyes fixed on the imposing figure of Cambyses I, his father and king. The soft rustle of silk and the gentle creaking of leather armor filled the air as the king's guards stood at attention, their faces expressionless. In the year 559 BCE, Cyrus succeeded his father as king, and the empire trembled with anticipation. The people of Anshan whispered among themselves, wondering what the future held for the young monarch. Would he follow in his father's footsteps, or would he forge a new path? The sound of murmured conversations and the soft clinking of cups filled the air as the people of Anshan gathered in the city's central square, eager to catch a glimpse of their new king. The cool breeze carried the scent of olives and figs, and the warm sun cast a golden glow over the scene. As Cyrus began to assert his authority, the empire started to stir. The sound of drums and the rustling of papyrus filled the air as messengers scurried to deliver the king's decrees to the farthest reaches of the empire. The people of the empire felt a sense of excitement and trepidation as they wondered what the future held. Would Cyrus bring peace and prosperity, or would he lead them down a path of war and conquest? The smell of freshly cut wood and the sound of sawing filled the air as the empire's craftsmen worked tirelessly to build new roads, bridges, and buildings. The turning points came quickly, each one a crossroads that could have led to triumph or disaster. In 550 BCE, Cyrus faced his first major challenge as king, the rebellion of the Median Empire, led by his grandfather, Astyages. The sound of clashing steel and the scent of blood filled the air as the two armies met on the battlefield. The outcome was far from certain, and the people of the empire held their breath as they waited for news of the battle's outcome. The warm sun beat down on the soldiers, and the dry earth crunched beneath their feet as they clashed in a frenzy of steel and shields. But Cyrus was not one to shy away from a challenge. With a fierce determination burning in his heart, he rallied his troops and led them to victory. The sound of cheering and the scent of victory filled the air as the people of the empire celebrated their king's triumph. The Median Empire was absorbed into the Achaemenid Empire, and Cyrus's power and influence grew exponentially. The feel of soft carpets beneath his feet and the taste of sweet wine on his lips were just a few of the luxuries that Cyrus now enjoyed as the ruler of a vast and powerful empire. As the years passed, Cyrus's empire continued to grow. He conquered the Lydian Empire, and the sound of gold coins clinking and the scent of precious spices filled the air as the empire's wealth and influence expanded. The people of the empire marveled at their king's military prowess and his ability to bring stability and prosperity to the region. The feel of cool marble beneath his fingers and the sound of gentle fountains filled the air as Cyrus built new cities and monuments, leaving an indelible mark on the empire's landscape. But Cyrus's greatest challenge was yet to come. In 539 BCE, he set his sights on the Neo-Babylonian Empire, a powerful and ancient civilization that had held sway over the region for centuries. The sound of drums and the scent of smoke filled the air as the two armies clashed in a fierce and epic battle. The outcome was far from certain, and the people of the empire held their breath as they waited for news of the battle's outcome. The warm sun beat down on the soldiers, and the dry earth crunched beneath their feet as they clashed in a frenzy of steel and shields. The battle was fierce and intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But in the end, it was Cyrus who emerged victorious, his army triumphant and the Neo-Babylonian Empire at his feet. The sound of cheering and the scent of victory filled the air as the people of the empire celebrated their king's triumph. The feel of soft silk beneath his fingers and the taste of sweet wine on his lips were just a few of the luxuries that Cyrus now enjoyed as the ruler of a vast and powerful empire. As the empire continued to grow and prosper, Cyrus's legend grew with it. The people of the empire whispered among themselves, speaking of their king's wisdom, compassion, and military prowess. The sound of gentle lutes and the scent of incense filled the air as the empire's poets and musicians sang the praises of their beloved king. The feel of cool breezes on his skin and the sound of gentle rustling of leaves filled the air as Cyrus walked among his people, a just and fair ruler, loved and respected by all. And so, the empire continued to flourish, a beacon of hope and prosperity in a world filled with darkness and uncertainty. The sound of children's laughter and the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air as the people of the empire lived in peace and harmony, their king's wisdom and leadership guiding them towards a brighter future. The warm sun cast a golden glow over the scene, and the soft rustle of silk and the gentle creaking of leather armor filled the air as the empire's guards stood at attention, ever vigilant and always ready to defend their king and their empire. As the sun began to set on another day in the empire, the sound of gentle chanting and the scent of incense filled the air. The people of the empire gathered in the city's central square, their faces upturned towards the sky as they prayed for their king's continued wisdom and guidance. The feel of soft carpets beneath their feet and the taste of sweet wine on their lips were just a few of the luxuries that the people of the empire enjoyed, thanks to their king's wise and just rule. The warm sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the scene, and the soft rustle of silk and the gentle creaking of leather armor filled the air as the empire's guards stood at attention, ever vigilant and always ready to defend their king and their empire. In the stillness of the night, the sound of crickets and the scent of blooming flowers filled the air. The people of the empire slept peacefully, their dreams filled with visions of their king's greatness and the empire's continued prosperity. The feel of cool breezes on their skin and the sound of gentle rustling of leaves filled the air as the empire slumbered, its people safe and secure under the wise and just rule of their beloved king. The stars twinkled above, casting a celestial glow over the scene, and the soft rustle of silk and the gentle creaking of leather armor filled the air as the empire's guards stood at attention, ever vigilant and always ready to defend their king and their empire. As the sun set over the vast expanse of the Achaemenid Empire, Cyrus the Great stood on the balcony of his palace, gazing out at the city of Persepolis. The air was thick with the scent of frankincense and myrrh, carried on the gentle breeze that rustled the leaves of the cypress trees. The sound of hammering and chiseling echoed through the streets, as artisans and laborers worked tirelessly to complete the grand structures that would become the hallmark of the empire. It was the year 539 BCE, and Cyrus's empire was at the height of its power, stretching from the Indus River to the Mediterranean Sea. But amidst the grandeur and splendor, a sense of unease settled in the pit of Cyrus's stomach. The Median Empire, under the rule of Astyages, had long been a thorn in the side of the Achaemenid Empire. Astyages, Cyrus's grandfather, had once been a powerful and wise leader, but as he grew older, his grip on power began to slip. The Median Empire was in disarray, and Cyrus knew that it was only a matter of time before the empire's instability spilled over into his own territories. The sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway, and Cyrus turned to see one of his trusted advisors, a man named Harpagus, approaching him. Harpagus's face was etched with concern, and his eyes seemed to bore into Cyrus's very soul. "My king," he said, his voice low and urgent, "the Median Empire is on the brink of collapse. Astyages' armies are in disarray, and the people are rising up against him." Cyrus's eyes narrowed, his mind racing with the implications. He knew that he had to act quickly, to take advantage of the situation and secure his own empire's borders. The decision was made on a sweltering summer day as the sun beat down on the city of Persepolis. Cyrus called a council with his top generals and advisors, and together they pored over maps and strategies, weighing the risks and benefits of invading the Median Empire. The air was thick with tension, as the men debated and argued, their voices rising and falling in a crescendo of sound. In the end, it was Cyrus who made the final decision, his voice firm and resolute. "We will march on the Median Empire," he said, his eyes flashing with determination. "We will bring order to the region and secure our own borders." The war that followed was brutal and devastating. The Median Empire was torn apart, its cities sacked, and its people slaughtered. Cyrus's armies marched across the empire, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The sound of clashing steel, the scent of blood and sweat, the cries of the wounded and the dying, all these things filled the air as the two empires clashed in a frenzy of violence. But Cyrus was not without mercy. He spared the life of Astyages, his own grandfather, and instead of putting him to death, he allowed him to live out the rest of his days in comfort and luxury. As the war drew to a close, Cyrus stood on the battlefield, surveying the devastation around him. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the carnage, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers. But amidst the beauty, Cyrus's heart was heavy with sorrow. He knew that the war had come at a great cost, that thousands of people had died, and that the Median Empire would never be the same again. He thought of his grandfather, Astyages, and the weight of his responsibilities as a leader. He thought of the people, the innocent civilians who had been caught in the crossfire, and the soldiers who had fought and died on both sides. The days that followed were filled with the sound of mourning and lamentation. The people of the Median Empire wept and wailed, mourning the loss of their loved ones, and the destruction of their cities and their way of life. Cyrus's own soldiers were somber and subdued, their faces etched with the memories of the horrors they had witnessed. But even amidst the sorrow and the grief, there was a sense of hope, a sense that something new and better could arise from the ashes of the old. Cyrus knew that he had a responsibility to rebuild and restore, to bring order and justice to the people of the Median Empire. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world in a soft, golden light, Cyrus stood on the balcony of his palace, looking out over the city of Persepolis. The sound of music drifted through the air, the sweet melody of the lyre, and the soft rustle of the wind through the trees. It was a moment of peace, a moment of reflection, and a moment of contemplation. Cyrus's eyes seemed to gaze into the very soul of the empire, as he pondered the weight of his responsibilities and the challenges that lay ahead. The stars were beginning to twinkle in the night sky, and the world was bathed in a soft, lunar glow. It was a time for rest, a time for reflection, and a time for dreams. And as Cyrus stood there, lost in thought, the world seemed to slow down, and the silence was filled with the promise of a new dawn. As the dust settled on the battlefield, the air was heavy with the smell of sweat, blood, and smoke, the acrid taste of defeat and victory mingling on the lips of the warriors. The sound of clashing steel, the cries of the fallen, and the thunder of hooves still echoed in the minds of those who had fought. Cyrus, his armor battered, his sword still trembling with the force of his last blow, stood tall, his eyes scanning the horizon. The vast expanse of the empire stretching out before him like an unfurled tapestry. The Median Empire, once a formidable foe, now lay defeated, its king, Astyages, taken captive. The weight of his chains a stark contrast to the freedom that Cyrus had brought to his people. The sun beat down upon the plain, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the warmth on Cyrus's skin a welcome respite from the chill of battle. The ground, once green and lush, was now trampled and scarred, a testament to the fury of the conflict, the earth itself bearing witness to the clash of empires. As Cyrus walked among his troops, the sound of their voices, their laughter, and their tears filled the air, a symphony of human emotion that swelled his heart with pride and purpose. They were a diverse bunch, men from all corners of the empire, united in their quest for glory and freedom. Their faces etched with the lines of exhaustion, but their eyes aglow with the fire of victory. Cyrus's thoughts turned to his father, Cambyses I, who had taught him the ways of war and the importance of compassion. The memory of his father's words echoing in his mind like a gentle breeze. He remembered the stories his mother, Mandana, had told him of the great kings of old, who had ruled with wisdom and justice, the sound of her voice whispering in his ear, guiding him on his path. And he thought of Harpagus, his trusted advisor, who had stood by him throughout the campaign, the weight of his counsel a steady presence in Cyrus's mind. As the days passed, Cyrus began to implement his vision for the empire, the outline of his plan unfolding like a map, guiding him toward a future of peace and prosperity. He established a system of governance based on the principles of justice, equality, and fairness, the sound of scribes scratching out laws and decrees on parchment, filling the air with the promise of a new era. He allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem, to rebuild their temple and restore their city. The sound of hammers ringing out as the temple rose from the dust, a beacon of hope in a world torn apart by conflict. The empire flourished under Cyrus's rule, its borders expanding, its people prospering, the smell of fresh bread wafting through the streets, as merchants and traders brought their wares from all corners of the known world. The sound of laughter and music filled the air, as people from all walks of life came together to celebrate the empire's greatness. The rhythm of drums and flutes, the rustle of silk and the glint of gold, all blending together in a vibrant tapestry of sound and color. And Cyrus, the king, walked among them, his heart full of joy and his spirit at peace. The warmth of the sun on his skin, the love of his people in his heart, and the knowledge of a job well done, guiding him toward a future of promise and possibility. The years went by, and Cyrus's empire continued to grow. The sound of construction, the smell of freshly cut stone, and the sight of towering monuments, all testifying to the king's vision and ambition. He conquered the Lydian Empire and the Egyptian Empire, his armies marching across the known world, leaving in their wake a trail of freedom and prosperity. The earth itself bearing witness to the passage of the empire's armies, as the sound of drums and the thunder of hooves echoed across the landscape. And though he faced many challenges, though he fought many battles, Cyrus remained steadfast, his commitment to his people and to his vision, never wavering. The flame of his conviction burning bright, a beacon in the darkness, guiding him toward a future of greatness. As the sun began to set on Cyrus's life, he looked out upon his empire, and he knew that he had left a lasting legacy. The sound of his own heartbeat, the only sound in a world gone quiet, as the weight of his years bore down upon him. He had changed the course of history. He had brought light to a world torn apart by darkness. The smell of old parchment, the feel of worn leather, and the taste of dust, all combining to remind him of the journey he had undertaken and the destination he had reached. And as he lay on his deathbed, surrounded by his loved ones, he smiled, knowing that his empire would endure, that his people would prosper, and that his name would live on, forever etched in the annals of history. The silence of the night, the stillness of the air, and the peace that filled his heart, all combining to guide him toward a final rest, a rest that would be filled with the knowledge of a life well lived and a legacy that would never fade. The room was dimly lit, the only sound the soft rustling of the wind outside, the smell of incense, and the feel of cool stone, all combining to create a sense of peace, a sense of calm that filled the space. Cyrus's eyes, once bright and full of life, now grew dull, his breathing slow and labored, the sound of his own heartbeat, the only sound in a world gone quiet. And as the life flowed out of him, his vision began to blur, his mind clouded by the veil of death, the darkness gathering like a shroud around him. But even in death, Cyrus's legacy lived on, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the indomitable will to survive. The sound of his name, whispered in awe and reverence, echoing through the ages, a reminder of the man who had changed the course of history and left an indelible mark on the world. The darkness deepened, the silence grew, and the world outside receded as the empire, the people, and the legacy of Cyrus the Great all blended together in a final, fleeting moment of perfection. The smell of old parchment, the feel of worn leather, and the taste of dust, all combining to remind him of the journey he had undertaken and the destination he had reached. And as the last breath left his body, the room was filled with a sense of peace, a sense of calm, that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the empire itself. The sound of silence, the feel of stillness, and the smell of incense, all combining to create a sense of closure, a sense of finality, that marked the end of an era, and the beginning of a new chapter in the story of the Achaemenid Empire. As the dust settled on the battlefield, the survivors emerged from the chaos, their faces etched with exhaustion and grief. The air was heavy with the smell of smoke and sweat, and the sound of moaning wounded filled the air. Cyrus, his armor battered and his eyes red from fatigue, walked among the ruins, his footsteps echoing through the stillness. The sun beat down on the battlefield, casting a golden glow over the carnage, and the warmth on his skin was a stark contrast to the chill of death that lingered in the air. He stopped beside a group of Median soldiers, their bodies broken and their eyes frozen in a permanent stare. Cyrus felt a pang of sorrow, remembering the words of his father, Cambyses, who had always taught him to respect his enemies, even in defeat. The weeks that followed were a blur of activity, as Cyrus and his men worked to rebuild and restore the cities they had conquered. The sound of hammers ringing out against the anvil, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting through the streets, and the sight of people rebuilding their homes, all blended together to create a sense of hope and renewal. In Jerusalem, the Jews, freed from their Babylonian exile, began to rebuild their temple, the sound of chiseling stone and the smell of freshly cut cedar filling the air. Cyrus, determined to show his respect for their culture, sent a delegation of his most trusted advisors to oversee the reconstruction and to ensure that the Jews had the freedom to practice their faith without fear of persecution. The delegation was led by a wise and aged Persian who had a deep understanding of the Jewish faith and who worked tirelessly to ensure that the reconstruction was done with the utmost care and respect. As the months passed, the Achaemenid Empire began to take shape, with Cyrus at its helm. He established a system of governance based on the principles of justice, equality, and fairness, and he appointed governors to oversee the various provinces. The governors were chosen for their wisdom and integrity, and they were given the power to make decisions on behalf of the empire, as long as they adhered to the principles set out by Cyrus. The sound of scribes scratching out documents, the smell of ink and papyrus, and the sight of messengers hurrying to and fro all blended together to create a sense of efficiency and organization. The empire was divided into provinces, each with its own system of governance, and each with its own unique culture and customs. The province of Lydia, with its rich soil and abundant resources, was a hub of trade and commerce, and the province of Babylon, with its ancient history and cultural significance, was a center of learning and intellectual inquiry. Cyrus, aware of the importance of communication and trade, ordered the construction of a vast network of roads, stretching from the Indus River to the Mediterranean Sea. The sound of pickaxes striking stone, the smell of freshly cut earth, and the sight of laborers working tirelessly all blended together to create a sense of progress and development. The roads were built to facilitate the movement of goods and people, and to provide a safe and efficient means of communication between the various provinces. As the roads were built, trade and commerce flourished, and the empire became a center of economic and cultural activity. Merchants from all over the world came to trade in the empire's cities, and the sound of haggling and negotiation, the smell of exotic spices and textiles, and the sight of people from all walks of life all blended together to create a vibrant and dynamic atmosphere. The years that followed were a time of great growth and prosperity for the Achaemenid Empire. Cyrus, now an experienced and wise leader, continued to expand his empire, conquering new territories and incorporating them into his system of governance. He was a just and fair ruler, loved by his people and respected by his enemies. The sound of laughter and music, the smell of feasting and celebration, and the sight of people living in peace and prosperity all blended together to create a sense of happiness and contentment. And though the empire would eventually face challenges and setbacks, the legacy of Cyrus the Great would endure, a testament to the power of leadership, vision, and determination. As the empire grew and prospered, Cyrus's people began to look to the future, with hope and anticipation, knowing that they were part of something great and enduring. The memory of the war with the Median Empire began to fade, replaced by the sounds of laughter and music, the smell of feasting and celebration, and the sight of people living in peace and prosperity. The empire was at peace, and Cyrus, now an old man, could look out upon his creation with pride and satisfaction. He knew that he had built something that would last, something that would be remembered for generations to come. And as he walked through the streets of Persepolis, the capital of his empire, he felt a sense of wonder and awe at the beauty and grandeur of the city. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees, the smell of roses and jasmine, and the sight of the sun setting over the mountains, all blended together to create a sense of peace and tranquility. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a warm, golden light, Cyrus made his way to the palace, his heart full of gratitude and his spirit at peace. He knew that he had done something truly remarkable, something that would be remembered for centuries to come. And as he lay on his couch, surrounded by his loved ones, he felt a sense of contentment wash over him, knowing that he had lived a good life and that he had left a lasting legacy. The sound of gentle breathing, the smell of incense and myrrh, and the sight of the stars twinkling in the night sky, all blended together to create a sense of calm and serenity. And as the darkness deepened, Cyrus's eyes grew heavy, and he drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the silence and the stillness of the night. The world outside was quiet, the only sound the distant howling of wolves and the soft rustling of the wind through the trees. And in the silence, Cyrus's spirit soared, free and unencumbered, a testament to the power of leadership, vision, and determination. As the centuries unfolded, the story of Cyrus the Great became etched in the annals of history, a testament to the power of leadership and vision. The whispers of his name carried on the winds, echoing through the ages, as civilizations rose and fell, each leaving their mark on the legacy of this remarkable king. In the silence of the night, the stars twinkling above, one can almost hear the soft murmur of his name, a reminder of the enduring impact he had on the world. The scent of aged parchment and dust fills the air as we delve into the ancient texts, where the tale of Cyrus is recounted in hushed tones. The Greek historian Herodotus, his voice a gentle breeze on a summer's day, writes of Cyrus's conquests, of the vast empire he built, and the tolerance he showed to the cultures he encountered. The soft scratch of quill on parchment, the creak of leather-bound books, transport us to a bygone era, where the story of Cyrus was passed down, a tale of wonder and awe. As the ages passed, the myth of Cyrus grew, his name becoming synonymous with wisdom, justice, and compassion. The sound of hammering on metal, the glow of fiery forges, evoked the image of artisans crafting intricate works of art, adorned with the symbol of the Achaemenid Empire, a testament to the enduring legacy of Cyrus. the feel of cool stone beneath one's fingertips, the majestic architecture of Persepolis, a city built on a vast plain, surrounded by mountains, stands as a monument to the grandeur of his vision. In the stillness of the night, the shadows cast by the flickering flames of candles, we find ourselves in the midst of a bustling marketplace, the air thick with the smells of exotic spices, fresh bread, and roasting meats. The cacophony of sounds, the chatter of merchants, the clang of hammer on anvil, creates a sense of vibrancy, of life, as people from all corners of the empire come together, united under the banner of Cyrus's tolerance and wisdom. The taste of sweet wine, the feel of fine silk, the sound of laughter and music all blend together, a testament to the rich cultural tapestry woven by Cyrus's empire. As the centuries unfold, the legacy of Cyrus continues to inspire, his name invoked by kings and queens, philosophers and poets. The soft rustle of leaves, the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, evoke the image of a world at peace, a world where the principles of justice, equality, and fairness reign supreme. The feel of warm sand beneath one's feet, the sound of the wind whispers through the trees, transport us to a world where the spirit of Cyrus lives on, a world where the boundaries of cultures and nations are transcended, and humanity is united in its pursuit of greatness. In the quiet hours of the night, as the world slumbers, the story of Cyrus the Great becomes a reminder of the power of human ingenuity, of the boundless potential that lies within us all. The soft glow of starlight, the whisper of the wind, evoke the image of a world where the legacy of Cyrus continues to inspire, to guide, and to shape the course of human history. The feel of a gentle breeze on the skin, the sound of silence, settle us into a sense of peace, a sense of wonder, as we contemplate the enduring impact of this remarkable king. As the darkness deepens, the shadows cast by the flickering flames, we find ourselves lost in thought, pondering the what-ifs of history, the roads not taken, the choices made. The scent of old leather, the feel of yellowed parchment, transport us to a world of possibilities, a world where the legacy of Cyrus the Great continues to unfold, a world where the boundaries of time and space are transcended, and we are free to explore, to discover, and to create. The sound of a clock ticking, the creak of old wooden floorboards, remind us that time is passing, that the world is changing, and that the legacy of Cyrus the Great remains, a constant, a guiding light in the darkness of uncertainty. In the stillness of the night, the world holding its breath, we find ourselves at the threshold of a new era, an era where the principles of justice, equality, and fairness are being redefined, where the boundaries of cultures and nations are being pushed, and where the spirit of Cyrus the Great continues to inspire, to guide, and to shape the course of human history. The feel of cool air on the skin, the sound of silence, settle us into a sense of anticipation, a sense of wonder, as we contemplate the possibilities that lie ahead, the possibilities that the legacy of Cyrus the Great has made possible. As the darkness slowly recedes, the first light of dawn creeping over the horizon, we find ourselves in a world where the legacy of Cyrus the Great is alive and well, a world where the principles of justice, equality, and fairness are being upheld, a world where the spirit of tolerance and compassion is guiding us towards a brighter future. The scent of freshly baked bread, the sound of birds singing, evoke the image of a world at peace, a world where the legacy of Cyrus the Great continues to inspire, to guide, and to shape the course of human history. The feel of warm sunlight on the skin, the sound of gentle rustling of leaves, settle us into a sense of peace, a sense of wonder, as we contemplate the enduring impact of this remarkable king. In the quiet hours of the morning, as the world awakens, the story of Cyrus the Great becomes a reminder of the power of human ingenuity, of the boundless potential that lies within us all. The soft glow of sunlight, the whisper of the wind, evoke the image of a world where the legacy of Cyrus continues to inspire, to guide, and to shape the course of human history. The feel of a gentle breeze on the skin, the sound of silence, settle us into a sense of peace, a sense of wonder, as we contemplate the possibilities that lie ahead, the possibilities that the legacy of Cyrus the Great has made possible. The world is full of wonder, full of mystery, and full of possibility, and the legacy of Cyrus the Great is a reminder that we all have the power to shape our own destiny, to create our own legacy, and to leave our mark on the world. As the last wisps of sunlight fade from the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over the vast expanse of the Achaemenid Empire, we are left to ponder the legacy of Cyrus the Great. The whispers of his name carried on the gentle breeze that stirs the palm trees of Persepolis. The story of this remarkable leader invites us to reflect on the intricacies of human nature, on the delicate balance between ambition and compassion, between the pursuit of power and the depths of love. We see in Cyrus a man driven by an unyielding passion to unite the fractious territories of his time, to forge a vast and harmonious empire that would stretch from the Indus River to the Mediterranean Sea, an empire built on the principles of justice, equality, and fairness, where the sounds of laughter and commerce fill the air, and the scent of exotic spices wafts through the bustling marketplaces. As we delve deeper into the recesses of his heart, we find a complex tapestry of contradictions. A warrior who weeps for his enemies, a king who listens to the whispers of his people, a leader who walks the thin line between wisdom and folly. And it is here, in this twilight realm of human frailty, that we discover the true essence of Cyrus's greatness. The soft rustle of papyrus as he unrolls the scrolls of history, the musty smell of aged parchment, the feel of worn leather beneath his fingers. His was a spirit that soared on the wings of imagination, that danced with the muses of creativity, and that wrestled with the demons of doubt and fear. The taste of sweat on his lips, the ache of fatigue in his muscles, the sound of his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. As the stars begin to twinkle in the evening sky, casting a celestial glow over the sleeping city, we are reminded that the story of Cyrus the Great is not merely a chronicle of conquests and triumphs, but a testament to the boundless potential that lies within us all. The gentle hooting of owls in the distance, the soft chirping of crickets, the faint scent of jasmine wafting through the night air. It is a story that whispers to us of the beauty of impermanence, of the fleeting nature of human achievement, and of the enduring power of love and compassion. The feel of cool night air on our skin, the sound of our own breathing, the gentle darkness that envelops us. As we drift into the realm of dreams, may the spirit of Cyrus guide us on our own journey. May his legacy inspire us to forge our own path, and may the lessons of his life remain etched in our hearts, like the gentle lapping of waves on a summer shore. The sound of the waves growing fainter, the darkness deepening, the silence becoming more profound. And as we surrender to the allure of slumber, may the whispers of Cyrus's name linger in our minds, a reminder of the transformative power of human imagination and the infinite possibilities that await us in the realm of the unknown, the darkness, the silence, the stillness.